Welcome and thank you for tuning in today. I'm excited, super excited for a couple of reasons. One, I get to introduce you to a great friend of mine, and he gets to roll up his sleeves every day and he serves people in the North Dallas area. And secondly, I'm super excited because we as a legacy community get to be involved in something that we've never done before. And we talk about this idea of change the world. Well, in the month of March, it's going to be happening. We get to roll up our sleeves and be involved in serving as well. So I'm excited to introduce you to Carter Morris from Grace Bridge. And if he looks familiar, that's because if you, as a student, you may have served up at Grace Bridge, and you may have done some crazy things up there. We might call them dirty jobs.
We have done dirty jobs for sure.
So up at Grace Bridge, we've collected toys, we've sorted food, we've sorted through clothes, we've pulled weeds in the garden, we've moved furniture. We've done it all in all kinds of conditions.
Yes, and you guys have rescued us on a number of occasions where we've had mounds of stuff that needed to be moved from one location to the other. And then you were talking earlier about the pyramids of canned foods that we've built as we've inventoried stuff. And so LCA has been near and dear to my heart and to our team's heart in bailing us out many occasions with a lot of work.
Well, it's been our privilege. And so I want to say first off, just thank you for your work at Grace Bridge and your faithfulness there, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of it. Carter, we talk about this word Grace Bridge.
Right.
Some people know what it is, some people may have no idea what Grace Bridge is. So could you tell us what is Grace Bridge and what do you guys do and how long you've been around?
Well, and so, Grace Bridge at our core, I mean, we are a food bank, a food pantry that seeks to meet the basic necessities of life that every family has, while caring for the whole person, engaging them in a meaningful relationship to tell them where our hope is anchored, which is in Jesus Christ alone. And so back in 2011, we were helping serve some food boxes at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and my partner in ministry, he was serving alongside through our church and was like, this is great, but what happens to these families the other 10 months out of the year? No one had a good idea, and the idea was born to start a food pantry north of 380 to help families in these really outlying cities, which is now not really outlying anymore. But ultimately, we made a commitment in April of 2011 to serve families on the first and third Saturday of every month. And now, almost 10 years later, here we are faithfully serving and offering some other services, but always sticking to that core of meeting the basic necessities that every family has.
Wow, that's a lot of food.
It is a lot of food, yeah. We have been able to serve thousands of families over the years and seen hundreds of people come to know Christ through it. So it's been amazing. Yeah.
So every family that comes to Grace Bridge, every face that's there, there's a story.
Oh, always, yes.
Tell us some of the stories that you've heard and ways you've been able to interact with them and make an impact.
Yeah, well, where we live, we really focus on serving families, right? Not a lot of homeless people that you might have, seen in traveling in the inner cities or something like that. But we get to serve families, and so what happens typically is that it's a 2-income home family, and maybe somebody gets sick or they lose their job or they have a transition, and the next thing they know, they find themselves in need with those basic necessities of life, trying to take care of themselves and their kids and keep them in school and search for a job. And so we've seen a number of families that have come to us, and it's really just a season that they're in, and we've been able to walk with them, provide those basic necessities, introduce them to the love of Jesus Christ, and see their lives change. And now they serve with us, or they're back on their feet and they're a supporter. They volunteer or they contribute out of what God's blessed them with. And so we've seen a number of families like that. And then we've also we get to serve a number of shut-ins, men and women who've served our country and now they're disabled, and we get to love on them and serve them as well too. And so, like I said, every face has a story, and though the overall story is similar, how they got to that point is so unique to them. And how they found Grace Bridge is so unique, which is an incredible blessing because they were either referred by a friend, or they were Google searching, or they saw one of our trucks go by and they were like, maybe they can help me. And we've been there. we've been able to be there for them.
Yeah, in their time of need.
That's right, yeah.
That's awesome. So 2020 has been a year like no other.
Right, on a lot of fronts for everybody.
Tell the folks who are watching right now, how has 2020 impacted Gracebridge? Has there been more need, a greater need? Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, just to put it on a scale, in 2019, we served about 3,300 families. In 2020, we served almost 9,000 families. And some of that is because the Lord allowed us to broaden our reach, but primarily the need was greater, and so almost triple the amount of need. And we've seen God and His people and the community respond in an incredible way to meet those needs that we have. But we know that we're not out of the pandemic yet. We know that now that God has expanded our reach, we're being called into some new areas permanently. And so we still have great need as we're privately funded. We don't get all the resources that some government agencies would, but us remaining privately funded allows us to engage people with those meaningful relationships. And that's what we long for, is to really get to know families, which that has been hindered by COVID as well too. But God gave us a plan to go to a drive-through model and to meet with families curbside, and we're still able to love on people and care for the whole person.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's been the snapshot, and so far this year we've been able to remain faithful and on track to love families and provide for them.
Right, so life is harder, but the need is greater.
Right. Life is harder, the need is greater, and it has been an amazing privilege to be there for families during this crazy time during the pandemic. Okay. Yeah, our team has been amazing. God has really blessed us with an incredible staff, and then of course our volunteer army is also amazing as well too, because despite all the risks and the concerns, those that could have been able to come and serve on the front lines, which has been amazing.
Right. So your ability to impact the community is directly related to the people that you have who can help you.
Right.
And the financial resources that you have available to you.
Right.
To the folks who are watching at home, maybe their interest is piqued. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
how could we get involved? What are your hopes and dreams for
Right.
Gracebridge, and what are your greatest needs?
Wow, not every day do you get asked a question like that. It's like, what do you ultimately say? Well, for me, we know our most valuable commodity is our time, right? I mean, people who have time and resources to volunteer, or professionals, or skilled tradesmen and women who have services that they can provide either to the families we serve or to the needs that we just have at the food bank. That is one of incredible ways, right? And then the second is always financial. I mean, behind these gifts that are being made are resources that have been given so that we can purchase the food. We make sure that every food box looks very similar and has 56 200-calorie meals in it, and that's the baseline where we start for helping families, so that when a family comes through and they get one of these food boxes or a personal care box, they know what's in there. And to do that, it takes financial resources to make sure we have these items, which I know we're going to talk here in a little bit about our collection days that the school's going to be doing. And so, obviously giving a financial gift, whether it's $10 a month, $20 a month, $45 a month, we can feed a family of 4 for a month through what we do at the food bank. But then there's all the other services that we provide. And again, during the pandemic, having our staff team be on the ground was such an important thing for us to be able to provide for them financially, to remain in their job so that we could continue to be faithful to serve. And so obviously giving financially. And then one of the things that blesses me the most, and my mom and my parents have always been prayer warriors, but you got to have people who are covering you in prayer while you're doing this. And I ended on that one because, I mean, really that is the most important, right? To be covered in prayer, and people who commit to pray for myself, the team, our volunteers, and the families we serve, that God will make provision like never before in their lives. So yeah, I think I answered that question. Yeah.
The needs are great.
Yes, the needs are great, and I mean, we've talked about building a building. We've been working on that for about 4 years now. But as God has expanded our reach in North Texas, we've really remained focused on serving the families, and now we're hoping in 2021 that we can deepen our infrastructure to support these things that God's really calling us to. So yeah.
Okay, so every person who's a part of our Legacy Christian Academy community is going to have an opportunity to serve here in this coming month. What would you say to someone who's maybe never done it before? I'm not qualified, I'm too young, I'm too old. What would you say to them?
Well, so from the very beginning of Grace Bridge, we designed it for families to serve together. We have, my wife and I, Julie, we have 3 children, and we've always wanted to be able to do it together. So whether you're in a stroller or you have to, carry your baby in one of those baby Bajorn things, we want you to come and serve. We want you to get engaged. We want you to help sort toys or help, do the different things that we do throughout the year to serve the community, sort canned foods, to pack those boxes, and then ultimately to get involved and help bless a family with a box of food. One of the things that we've really had to ramp up this past year is home deliveries, right? Because if someone was on COVID quarantine watch, or they'd been exposed, or they couldn't take the risk of getting exposed, we would actually deliver the food to their front porch, leave it for them, and wave through the window or whatever. But there's a ton of different ways for people to get involved and help, no matter what season of life that you're in.
Right. Something for everybody.
Something for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Sorting clothes, sorting the donations, because we get a ton of in-kind donations that need to be handled and sorted so that we can, put that in our resale stores, or bless a family with something that they need, or recycle it so that we can turn that into financial resources as well.
Right. So Grace Bridge has an incredible impact in the North Texas, North Dallas area.
Right.
Here's where it's about to get really interesting. People don't know there's more to Grace Bridge than just Grace Bridge. Tell us the other side of the coin. Tell us the other side of Grace Bridge. There's an international organization that you guys have started up and have a significant work. I can't wait for you to share.
Yes.
What is it that you guys also do?
So I mentioned earlier the founder of our organization, Charles and Carol Loper, and their family foundation. So part of the whole conversation that took place 10 years ago was that Charles knew that God was calling him to an international work, but also wanted to be responsible here at home. And he was teaching a life group of young marrieds, and he wanted his young marrieds to get more involved here locally as well too. And so God called Charles and Carol to go to Uganda, Africa, which is called Master Cares, because we want people to know that the Master cares for them, right? And in that, God has done some amazing things. We have a Christian school there, Master Cares Christian School, that has about 650 of the most beautiful kids that you've ever seen in it. And it's a leadership school, really, designed to take the leaders' kids and the next generation of leaders for the country of Uganda, give them a kingdom education, a biblical worldview, while giving them an excellent opportunity to learn. So they have a science lab, they have a computer lab, they have a library, they have a regulation-sized football field, which is a soccer field to us, right? You and I were joking about that last week. But anyway, we have this amazing school there where we get to go and serve with them, as trips have allowed us to do over the years. And then we dig 2 water wells a month. We have a working ranch that is sustainable, so those who aren't school age can come in, they can be discipled, they can be taught how to ranch for profit. And then probably the other special thing that we have over there, other than our 2 churches, God's blessed us to be able to plant 2 churches, but is our hospital. And inside that hospital, we have 4 surgical centers, and we've seen a number of moms already be saved and their babies, because they didn't have to travel an hour to get a C-section, but they were able to get that emergency surgery that they needed. And then inside the hospital, along with the surgical center, is the Malnutrition Clinic. And we have seen hundreds of children rescued from malnutrition, and where we've allowed the mom to stay with the baby, teaching the mom how to take what she already has access to and create a well-balanced diet for herself and for her child. And literally in about 6 weeks' time, we've been able to see children go from being on the brink of death to full and happy and healthy and back on the track of growth and development, which has been really, really amazing over these last few years.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so all of that takes place in the southern part of Uganda, Africa, and Charles and Carol spend many months out of the year over there doing that, and then obviously Grace Bridge is what we call everything we do here stateside.
Right. So in Uganda, you've got the Christian school, which sounds like no other school out there.
Right.
You've got the sustainable farm, you've got the churches, you've got the hospital, the malnutrition clinics, and you talked about water wells. Why would we need water wells?
Yeah, well, you know, many times when you see reports of people losing their life because of malaria or HIV, they've really lost their life because they didn't have access to clean water for their body to heal and recoup, right? And then also just when you only have a water source that must be boiled, then you get into a whole lot of other secondary diseases that come from ingesting that water and digesting it. And so we knew immediately after discovering the water sources in the area that God had placed us, we needed to get into digging water wells. And so we don't actually bring in a truck and dig the water wells, but we've also created jobs by digging these water wells by hand and through our water engineers' oversight. And so we've created jobs, which is a huge thing over there. We've provided water, and typically one of our water wells will produce enough clean water for about 1,000 people.
Wow.
And so it can revolutionize a whole village, really. And then it also, it helps kids be able to spend more time focusing on their schoolwork in these other villages because they're not spending as much time going and getting water from a hole, which is a dangerous process as well too, and again, the water wells do provide clean water, right, which is what you want from a water well, but it also has a ripple effect. If you'll let me play off the water analogy there, it has a ripple effect of how it impacts an entire village. And then we have a ministry team that will go out to these water wells, and we typically partner with a local Bible-believing, Bible-teaching church and pastor to have these water wells nearby, because it's also a center of community, which leads to opportunities to share the gospel and for discipleship.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is, yeah. So we try to dig 2 water wells a month, and we can do that for about $3,500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So same question as for Grace Bridge. Master Cares, what are your hopes and dreams for 2021 and beyond?
Yeah.
If money was no object, what would you guys love to see happen?
Glenn, thank you for asking that question. It's so much fun to dream about what God's called us to in Uganda. And as I mentioned for Grace Bridge, we really want to build our staff infrastructure and continue to take care of our Ugandan team members the best we can. And we definitely have some tangible needs as well. We need to finish building out the classrooms. We need to finish building out the dormitories at the schools so that we can house students once everything gets back to normal. We also have some needs for equipment at our hospital where we can get better intensive care equipment to take care of people who are struggling with COVID or other illnesses that require intensive care units. And then we want to also continue to dig water wells and provide that clean water and opportunities for discipleship. And a part of building that infrastructure is adding more team members who can go and be disciple makers in Uganda.
So thanks for sharing. We've heard a lot about Grace Bridge, we've heard a lot about Master Cares, and there's obviously a lot to do. At the Legacy Christian Academy community, we are going to be taking the month of March and dedicating all of our service hours and time and resources to helping Grace Bridge and Master Cares. So when we do that, we're doing this under the theme of Love Does.
Right.
And that idea is that, God has loved us, and when we love others, we're pointing others towards Him. We're like the guy on the side of the road with the spinning sign.
The sign flipper.
That's right.
I love it.
Have you ever done that?
I have not, but I'm a big, huge fan of them because they do work in getting your attention. Always.
Apparently they do.
Yeah, I know.
So we're going to be spinning the signs when we serve and pointing others towards God and however we serve this month. So for the month of March, we have a number of ways for everybody in the LCA community to roll up their sleeves and get involved in our Love Does Service Month. So the first thing is that if you're on the South Campus, we are doing a food drive. And so we'll be collecting food items all the way through the month of March, and there'll be a list going out to every grade level about what food items they are to bring in. And on the North Campus, we're going to be doing a personal care item drive, and so each grade will have items they are responsible for bringing in as well, and they'll be meeting the real needs of people in the local North Dallas area. So that'll be going on through the end of March, and we'll be boxing up all of those items so Gracebridge can distribute those. The second thing that we have going is that after spring break, in the 2 weeks after spring break, we are having students and even parents volunteer at Gracebridge Resale right here in Frisco, where we'll be working in the store and in the warehouse there, sorting furniture. And so that'll be 2 hours every day in the afternoons after school, after spring break. And then after that, we also have the food distribution up in Salina. So that'll be the 20th of March on that Saturday morning. From the youngest to the oldest at Legacy, we need a bunch of people up there serving.
That's right. We're depending on you guys for that day. We got it blocked off for y'all to come and serve.
We'll have links available for you to sign up. And the very next Saturday, we're back at Gracebridge Resale doing a beautification project there with mulch and tree trimming and working in the gardens there, and also working in the warehouse.
Yeah.
However you can use us on that day. That's the 27th of March. Laps of Love. All our students on the South Campus, you'll be running on the 26th of March, and when you run, you'll be raising money for Gracebridge and Master Cares. And this year, any funds that come in for that will be divided equally among those two. And you've heard about the needs that we have.
We're going to be here. We're going to be here on the 26th.
Carter's going to be running.
Yeah, I'm going to put my running shoes on. I'm going to get it. I'm going to have my sweatband on.
That's right.
I'm going to be here.
I'm counting on it.
That's right.
So there are plenty of ways for you to get involved in the month of March. So Legacy, thank you for all you've done. Thank you for all that you're about to do. The month of March, love does. Everybody get involved. Carter, we're excited to partner with you this year, and we look forward to this partnership continuing. So,
absolutely. Thank you for encouraging us. And again, everything we've done together up to this point has been a huge encouragement. And as I've shared this with our team, we are blessed and encouraged to be a part of something this awesome for the whole month of March. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Thank you.